2025, we're coming back hot. Wharfie Pod's back, baby.
Up the wharfs.
Wharfie Pod to the moon. All right, guys, welcome back to the Wharfie Pod. We've had a little break, but we're back with episode 2. Craig Bruce, your host, and we've got Benetti, co-host again.
Hello.
So good we had to get him back. And we're joined by 2 special guests. On my right, we've got Tucko, otherwise known as Davis Verboon, famous for Tucky time. And we've got Dr. Gunnel. Both come down from Karratha recently and had to secure him in the pod as guest 2, straight after Tom Hode. So we're going to start this pod by asking, Davis, what's your favourite Tom Hode memory?
Oh, it's a big question. Thanks for having me, by the way. I'm very excited to be on it. I'm
No
not sure
worries.
I'm the mainstay and guest, but I'm happy to put my hand up whilst I'm down here. Favourite Tom Hode memory?
And I invite this
I could
question
go
out
off-
to you as well, Gunny.
I could go-
Surely it's got to be the one where you're sharing a room with him.
Oh, no, that was... Oh.
So Davis and Gunny have both shared rooms with Tom Hode.
Okay, I know the story you're talking about. All right.
By Christ.
I was in about 2015. I went across as the assistant coach to a manager along with Tom and Ken, and we were staying in Italy, like the first stop. And Tom says, "Oh, I like to sleep with the TV on. Just helps me sleep and stuff." I said, "Yeah, whatever. Sounds good, Tom." He was like, "I'll sleep on the couch." And so anywho, like we got invited out by the Italian coaches, and jet lag had kicked in, and we were up until all hours of the night. And we got back and went to bed, and I woke up at 3 or 4 in the morning, go to the bathroom, go out. It's like SBS on the TV and some adult films, shall we say. Tom's snoring away. Anywho, I flushed the toilet and come back out, and Tom has to work out, and he sees this adult film on the TV. And he goes, "By Christ," and switches it off straight away. And promptly goes back to snoring to sleep. That's a pretty good one. Now you mention it, that's a good one. Yeah.
That stayed with you
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Dr. Gunny?
Thanks for having me. G'day, boys. Yeah, you've put me on the spot a little bit. I don't have one that springs to mind.
I've heard that you've also shared a bed with the goats.
Well, if you're leading me down that path, as Davis has as well, I've done a few Europe trips with Tom, and in a coaching capacity, all the boys get billeted out, and then you're sort of in a hotel room. Tom will sleep on the couch mostly, and you get the bedroom. But in this one, I don't know if it was a mistake from the hotel, but anyway, they've given us 2. You get the double room, and we've sort of said, "Oh, do you mind just separating the rooms down in reception when we checked in?" Anyway, we head up to the room, and it's just a double bed, or a queen bed, perfect.
Top and tail.
Yeah. So we didn't top and tail. We just had our sides of the bed. And I hope Tom doesn't
Protection
mind.
pillow up the middle.
I hope Tom doesn't mind me telling this story.
Might be listening.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tom if you're listening.
Shout out, Tom.
Like and subscribe.
And, yeah, as you sort of toss and turn at about 3 or 4 in the morning, you just sort of wake up and it's like, "Oh, what's that? What's that on my shoulder?" It's just Tom's arm, just wrapping around.
I'm jealous.
You
Got a cuddle from the goat, man.
Yeah.
You got superpowers after that.
And yeah, we both sort of startled and went back to sleep.
I don't think the HR at Melville Waterpolo Club was ever the same after those Europe trips. I don't reckon. I look back now as a teacher and think, how the heck did those things get off the ground?
16-year-old boys and 2 adults
Well,
who you see twice a day.
Side pivot, and I don't want to get away from the main story of the
No.
podcast, but when we went to Barcelona, Tom just forgot the team was away, and you blokes were in Barcelona for a weekend by yourself. Oh,
No responsibility.
Yeah, anyway.
All we had was Ken Allen saying, "Don't wander off, lads."
Yeah, anyways.
I think the boys would have been complaining with that.
It was great.
Yeah, so also the Australian Waterpolo League's just been underway, the first game.
Interesting.
Obviously, we got an ex-player here, and Gunny, who's always still around the club, Clubman of the Year. He's played some games as well when he's not studying to become a doctor, or up in Karratha as well, or down in Busselton, or wherever you go to do your doctor stuff. But Tucko, Tucker, do you remember making your Mariners debut back in the day? Do you remember what the team was looking like? Who was coaching?
It did. 2013 was my first ever year actually playing a game. I was on the list for a couple of years, but it was too trash and the team was pretty good. And it was the night before road trip. And I think I was just turned 18 and I got a call from Damien Kelly at the time, who was the CEO of the club. He said, "Oh, Sam Quinn's not going. Do you want to go to road trip tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. or whatever?" So I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So at the time it was Peter Arancini was the coach. Who do we have? It was like after the 2012 London Olympics, so we had Cleland, Swifty, Fano. I think Slade was in goals that year. A couple of imports, like your big dogs, like your team of the century type guys, and yeah, that was a pretty cool experience. I didn't get much of a game. I played at West. It was the old school 6-day road trip, so it was pretty hectic. We played West, Drummoyne, and Sydney Uni or something. So like pretty grueling.
Did you play 4 games or
No, six. Tuesday to Sunday.
Oh Jesus!
So
you played 2? Would you guys play 2 in a day?
Yep.
Oh Jesus!
So no, you rocked up on a Tuesday, flew over Tuesday, played Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday,
okay.
Saturday, Sunday, lunchtime game. So yeah,
It's a
6
serious
games.
program.
It's the toughest thing, one of the toughest physical things I've done. Yeah, it's nuts.
Mm.
And I remember first game was against West or Drummoyne. I think it was Drummoyne. Like pretty gnarly pool. And all I remember is just the chlorine and the salt and just stinging and burning your eyes. And it's a skinny, narrow pool and you're versing against all these current Australia. And I was just like a little peewee that had no idea what I was doing. But
It's taco time. Let's go.
yeah, I didn't do much. I didn't get in much,
Yeah.
but it was good fun. It was really good fun.
Yeah, it would have been a good group to go with for sure.
Yeah. It was definitely the old school like 90s, 2000s, like shut up, speak when you're spoken to.
Yeah, was there a
Like-
couple of leaders in that team that were like,
Well, they'd been such a close team for so long. They kind of had their own thing. Like I'm sure you went through a similar thing as a young fella going up. I like to think we've kind of evolved and are a little bit more welcoming of the young kids these days.
yeah,
But definitely back in those days, it was still that old school, like Alan Border-esque, like speak when you're spoken to, shut up. Like,
How
Yeah.
long after you debuted did the first rebrand come, Tucko?
oh, shit. I think I only played those 6 games that year. So
Probably
maybe-
6 games later.
yeah, the next season.
yeah. Well, when I was coming through, and all the Bruces, you were kind of like a father figure in the team, guiding us through the ranks, especially Peter as well. But now you're actually a father now.
Yeah,
the
Dad.
And,
hopefully the final rebrand.
Also, I've seen recently engaged. So
thanks, mate.
congratulations on
Thanks,
behalf
mate,
of the
I appreciate
Bruces.
it. Yeah.
Or just
No.
the whole Wharf family.
Yeah, the whole Wharf
No, it's
family.
been a very, very big couple of years. Craft has definitely matured me for sure. I like to think I've still got a little bit of the young fella in me.
Still got a bit of dog in there.
I definitely
Tucky's-
tried to get on the bus to the 21st on Saturday night, but unsuccessful. Went to the family dinner like a good fiance should do.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it's been it's been awesome. It's been hard work. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't change it for the world. She's a beautiful little girl. I got a beautiful partner, a little dog you saw before. So yeah, loving it up there. It's good fun. Really good fun.
Yeah. So then going back to your Mariner days, I remember when I was watching games, there's the old Tucky special move. I'd be in the pie stands with the boys. For some reason, whenever Tucko scored a goal, there was a bit more of a loud appreciation from the pie stands.
Because I didn't have many very often.
Benetti was in there too, and there'd be the old fist up from Tucko and straight out the pool, hands on head, walk back, and we called that Tucky time. And that's actually stayed with the boys because
really?
whenever anyone scores a goal and gets straight out, which Benetti does quite a lot, we still call it Tucky time.
Yeah. It's my go-to move these days.
It's just to add to that as well. I've never seen anyone celebrate an assist more than Davis has.
Which one?
No, it was one of
There's
the
a couple.
UWA. Yeah, the Derby one.
Oh, that was
I think
good,
he
eh?
put it into the centre forward. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my best games ever. That's good.
Which one? Is that?
We versed
Is that when you scored the half backhand? Where you had the 5 photos on the ground?
Nah, Damo was playing for Torps that year. Whatever year that was. Yeah. I can't remember.
Would have been like
5, 6, 7 years,
2018 or
Six,
something. I
seven,
think that was
yeah.
like my first year.
6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good game. It was very exciting.
And then another year that I remember, I would have been like under 18s or something, kind of watching a bit of the Mariners because Ali and Benetti probably were playing a couple games as well. I think it was 2018 when you guys got to the grand final.
Yeah.
And lost on pens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you any memories from that year? And obviously, that's probably like one of the most cruel ways to lose, like on the final game of the season to win the flag, losing on penalties.
Yeah, it was. It was a season full of emotions for me because I played every single game of the year except the semi and the grandy, and so I played like 22 games or something, and then got dropped for the last 2 games. So that was pretty bitter pill to swallow. But in terms of like, I think Laurie came on board as the head coach, and then got a few of the older guys back, whether it was Johnny Neesham doing the gym. I think Christian, a few of the other guys coming down doing the swimming and stuff. So it actually improved the environment, because by that stage, a lot of guys weren't actually in the waste program anymore. It was like, it was a changing of the guard. So the younger guys were in waste, and then the older guys were kind of finishing up with that, but or hanging on the outside and stuff like that. So it was a lot more guys that were purely just Fremantle athletes or playing for Fremantle with Fremantle. So we built that really good team dynamic, and we all hung out, and that sort of, it took 2 or 3 years from that old school 2012, 2013, where they won a couple of flags.
Yeah.
And then that changing regard and sort of create that team identity, and it was a really good time to be a part of a team that actually really genuinely enjoyed each other. Yeah. And that's always, there's elements. They seem to enjoy each other, but don't actually achieve. But then when you're putting in the effort as well and you're trying, it doesn't happen that often. But it's that was a fun year. It was a fun year. But like I said, mixed emotions to not play the granny. That was pretty hard.
Yeah, I think, that 2018 would have been my first year. I think I still look back on that as one of the funnest years playing for the Mariners. Just like, even back then, like all the older boys were so accepting to all of us. It was our first year, and like straight away we were a team. Everyone, like, you could hang out with anyone and having a good time.
It was kind of like two sorts, and the guys that I love and respect so much are like your Nick Redmonds, your James Fannons, your Sladeys, your Swift, because they kind of had both it. They had that old school mentality, and then they sort of realised come 17, 18, 19 that, we've got to like accept these guys in. So they really kind of changed their mindset, and I found they were really, really good, because there was that fine balance between what I said before about mucking around and dicking about and having fun, or actually being genuinely serious. So it's like, the expectations when you come into the team, but also you're inviting. It's an educative environment, like it's a learning environment, like helping each other and stuff. And that sort of, I think we worked really well to sort of change that a bit.
Yeah. And then I think the year after got bronze, and then it kind of became 2020, and then maybe it was like COVID and stuff like that. And then that's probably when we lost most of the older boys, and then had a couple people like you and your brother and stuff stick around a bit and help the transition with the younger boys especially. And that's kind of where...
I had lots of fun in that. I know it was only 5 games, but that 2022 season when Doody eventually came on board, that was actually really fun. It was really, really enjoyable.
Yeah, no, and we really appreciated having you, because obviously we lost a lot of the older boys, but you were there for us, and you were really good at, because obviously you got experience coaching and stuff, so you probably kind of knew how to operate and stuff, and like inviting also made it fun environment, but still train hard, like want to win and stuff at the same time.
Yeah, it's a fine balance between making it educative and a learning in space, and then also having high expectations, wanting to win, and like a group of different people that can play different roles, because like you can't have 12 Joel Swifts and be an awesome team. You've got to have a Joel Swift. You've got to have, I don't know, you want to have all the
I was gonna ask about that, like. Obviously we're a building team at the moment, so it's like creating a good team environment that wants to be successful. Like obviously you need talented players, but then you need other types of players as well. Like what are those types of players that you need that kind of bring the team together and gel the team, while also having a couple superstars in there as well, I guess.
I think the best person I've ever heard explain it is Luke Longley. He said, because he wasn't in the Last Dance documentary, but then they did a retrospect documentary about him and how he sort of dealt with Michael Jordan, and he described it as the fact that you don't need 6 Michael Jordans, you need different
Pippin,
different personalities, different people, different role players that can actually work together. You don't have to be best mates, but there's got to be a level of respect that when you come together on game day, you're going to go to war with them and stuff like that. And so he's definitely described the best that I've ever won.
Yeah, and
But
you can trust them.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, and it's a level of trust, absolutely, and that takes time to build. Like you can't, like you see it in the Big Bash, they just fly people in, and it's just like, well,
Yeah, they're not part of the team.
yeah. Like, and I guess that's franchise cricket and a completely different kettle of fish to water polo. But you definitely need people that are prepared to work hard and do the. Can we swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
Do the shit kicker job on the side, but then you also need you guys that can score goals that no one else can score. Like you need a Tom Pryor that can score a goal out of nowhere and stuff like that and pinch hit, or you just need these different roles. And that's something that I took a long time to learn. I was like, oh, if everyone worked as hard as me, that'd be right. But it's different. Like people can do things that I can't do, and same thing, I can do things that other people.
And you need some players that bring the vibes as well, you know, because some people
The
you got people
hires,
that are
maybe.
like they're really good, but they're
Good
kind
team,
of
man.
quiet and they're just like focused on themselves. But you need someone else that's G'ing up the boys at the same
Someone
time.
like a Mitch Marsh, I think, would be someone like the really good team man. From what I've seen of those documentaries and stuff like that.
We got Benetti.
Yeah. You need those people that bring the team together. They're always up. They're always there. You know, you just need those people that keep the energy up, because it's pretty grueling being an amateur athlete while trying to work or study. Excuse me. And training for 7, 8, 9 months of the year, or however long you guys train. Like it's hard work. It's really hard. It's harder as an amateur athlete.
You're there to win, but then you also have everything you're doing in the background, and you also need to make it a good environment so that you want to.
I struggled with that for a long while. I couldn't have different lines in the water and be balanced. I had to be like all in on something. Well, and that's like, hence.
Yeah, I'm sort of learning that a bit at the moment now. That like as work gets more and more hectic, just you can't be fully focused on one thing at a time. You have to be able to have that balance.
Yeah, I don't know how Matty Quinn did it for so long. I don't know how Drew did it for so long. Like I have my hats off, particularly to the labourers as well, like people that did physical labour. How you did that and then train twice a day as well.
It's nuts, man.
Like you've got to be really committed,
especially for like a team like ours, where some nights you're not leaving the pool till like 9:30, and then you're back there at 5:15 in the morning for swimming.
Bugger this.
And then you got to do a whole 8-10 hours of work in the middle.
I would say being on the other side now, not doing that stuff, you miss it. You miss the camaraderie. You miss the coffees after breakfast after swimming in the morning, like that stuff. For me, and that's probably, I think I've spoken to you guys about this a little while ago, is like, for me, actually finding out what your why is. Like, I think as a young kid, everyone wants to go to the Olympics and everyone wants to play for Australia and win a gold medal and stuff like that. But for me, I actually ended up, my why was my mates and playing with my mates and the training, and
100%.
that's what like gave me purpose. Like the winning and losing, whatever, that's great, that's awesome. But I think that's a spillover effect of like wanting to play with your mates and have a good time with your mates.
Yeah, I'm all on board with that. That idea for sure.
Yeah. But that's not everyone though. Like some people are driven and focused and they want to play for Australia and stuff. And that comes back to that building a culture where you've got different personalities, different drives. It doesn't matter what your drive is, as long as you give 110% in the pool or at training. What does it matter if you want to be?
Sure. And Gunny, obviously you've been clubbing of the year down at the bars. You volunteer a lot of your time down there.
Mate.
We heard you on the mic on the weekend. We always love hearing your voice.
I don't know how you do it, Gunny, mate.
He's usually on Orcs as well before the game, getting boys G'd up with the music.
Keeps that place afloat, mate.
Even with all your, becoming a doctor, you still got time for the club. Is there anything that kind of motivates you to be down there as well and help out?
It's a big question. I guess you look back to, I guess everything that you, especially like junior days, like the opportunities that we got, especially in our like era of growing up as juniors. There, you've got your national trips that you went on every year, twice a year if you're lucky, if you're playing different age divisions. Then you have the European tours that you go on. So when it's two as a player, and then
Tomo Cups as well.
Tomo Cups, you get the international guys coming across, and then going over to Europe with Tom twice as like an assistant coach / manager. Like the opportunities that that we've had growing up in, I guess, in the system of like are incredible, and like you won't find many other sports or many other people going around who get those same opportunities. And so particularly from a coaching point of view, and like helping with juniors and coaching under Tom, a lot of it was, I guess, giving back and helping other kids have the same opportunity that I did.
100%.
But also, like, I'm sure you can talk to this as well, Davis, how much you learn about the game from actually doing all the coaching as well. You learn such a different way of playing and talking to people about the game and learning the game from actually coaching it, and also coaching under someone like Tom Hode. But yeah, it's such a different aspect to the game. So that's what I guess drove me from a coaching point of view. But then working as a lifeguard at the club for how old I've been, probably year 10 to probably third year uni. Like you do all the lifeguarding during the day, but then you start thinking about National League games, what you have to do for the games. And
It's all consuming, hey?
Yeah. It's so hard to just pick like one thing. Oh, I'm just going to announce this weekend or do the commentary for this weekend. The club's just so reliant on volunteers, as a lot of sporting clubs are.
But I actually think Melville's done a really good job of instilling that culture where, like, yeah, everything is voluntary, but by the time you get to the stage where you have an ability to give back, you actually want to because of the other people before you that you saw
The
did
pass
that.
it on mantra.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They've done
I
a very
agree.
good job of like instilling that culture in people.
Yeah. So like on the weekend, that was I wasn't expecting to be announcing and commentating, and you just.
We're so happy that you were.
Would you be able to fit on a 2-page document your resume purely at Melbourne Waterpolo Club? Is that possible, do you think?
I'd probably struggle. Yeah, I worked in
Size
a
8
lot
font.
of different hats. Yeah. And I'm now on the club committee as well, so that gives me like a completely different
on the
I guess
socials
look.
too.
And on the socials. It gives you such a different aspect because you're looking from how the club operates, and you look at why clubs are so reliant on volunteers, because like you look at all the financials and like if we paid everyone for the role that they did, like we wouldn't have a club.
It's an amateur sport trying to be a professional sport, but doesn't have the money to. And that's not a criticism on the club. That's just at the sport in general.
Yeah, it's just definitely what it is.
You know, like it's just, and people are doing the best. And it took me a long while to realize that people genuinely are doing the best they can with what they have. You know,
But like that, even on the weekend, Bigton Bars was packed. Like Pete wasn't playing. He said he was walking to the bar and he could bet like people were like looking over people's heads. They could barely even see what was going on.
Yeah, it's pretty special on the weekend. Yeah, we haven't had many crowds bigger than that over the times. You always get the big.
It was a
crowd
good time to play for sure.
Yeah,
I think.
midday game against the
Yeah,
hometown
Do we-
rivals was always
the
going to be a
derby.
bigger one.
do we pivot into the game now, just for like?
Oh yeah, we can talk about the game for sure. I'm sure the boys will be listening.
Oh God, I've been
Want
trying to
the
forget that
Tucko
one.
opinion on the game.
On Gunny's point, what a genius move making it 3:30 in the afternoon. Kids can be there, families can be there. Genius, amazing atmosphere. And then you get to the game. You've got the best player in Australia behind Aaron Younger, and you exclude him halfway through the game. People don't rock up to watch me play water polo. They rock up to watch Luke Pavillard, Andrew Ford, the American fellow. These are your marquee players, all right? And I was having to think retrospectively about this yesterday. 10, 15 years ago, who were the two people refereeing National League? Fiona and Garble. So in 15 years, we haven't produced any new referees. And I get it, they're the only people there, but also people come to watch these good players. Do you reckon Luke Pavillard ever got excluded or red carded in his 3 years playing in Barcelona? No, his first game back.
Me and Benetti have a lot of respect for Fiona and Garbo, and
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I agree.
I think she makes some great calls.
I love
I think
them
they
both.
both do.
No.
Yeah.
And Fiona, I worked at the same school as her, and these are everyday people that have in the same ilk as us. They have day jobs, and they're doing this on the side out of love and passion. So I get it, but I just think if you want to market the sport, anyways,
It was unfortunate that we lost Av and Arshia early on.
I
But
don't
yeah,
think you
just
can blame the loss fully on that though. I think.
Oh, no, I just think,
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
I
think
think
from the
from-
marketing of the sport of the game,
Yeah,
you know?
from a player's perspective, anyway, it did feel
Nah,
like the
I'm
wheels
speaking as a
wheels
fan.
fell off for
Yeah.
about a quarter and a half
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
that, and then just sort of. Yeah.
I just think as a spectator of the game, I want to go see Luke Pavillard play.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't want to see Luke Pavillard sit on the bench.
Yeah, me and Eddie were
Nice.
hurting having to put in extra minutes, that's for sure.
Yeah, God, I was not expecting to have to play more than about 2 minutes a quarter.
Can we talk a little bit on that point about the new rules that come in? Because I certainly haven't played with them apart from when they tried it with the size 4 ball as well. When was
Oh,
that,
bring
5,
that
10 years
back,
ago?
man.
But it certainly looked like, and yes, you lost a lot of your depth on the bench when you have 2 or 3 people being excluded. But the game just looks so much quicker. You look at the results over the weekend. I think Drummoyne and Balmain, I think it was. That was a 21-20 game. Looks
Yeah,
like
even
it's
if
a
you
lot
look at the
quicker
World
pace.
Cup, man, the
Yeah.
games are 15 to 20 every time.
So you think it's just going to be an adjustment period to get up for players to get up to speed and adapt to the new rules, and then it will
Well,
have
I,
like-
yeah, I don't know. I haven't.
and,
I don't think
and
that-
it
referees as
feels
well.
like it feels like with the even if like it's only 5 meters shorter, you don't think it's that much, but when you're in the pool, you feel it like.
So
Oh.
You
few games
feel
on-
like I will go like I'm still trying to get used to the 25 where I'll go to hook for the ball as a left-hander and I'm already on the 5 meter line. Like you just have to be constantly
But
ready
was the
for that
game on the weekend in
counter-attack.
25 meters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Personally, I love it. I
Oh,
love
jeez,
it.
I wasn't concentrating. that
Yeah.
much then.
I love it.
It just like the ball moves from one end of the field to the other
quick,
so
hey?
quick, and if you
Yeah.
fumble it once, it's going straight
And
back
it's
the
25
other way.
a 25-second shot clock. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, 25 for first possession,
Okay.
15 for second.
It
I
just
think-
adds out that extra
And
5
15
meters of
extra.
swimming, and it's just
Yeah.
slugs out
Yeah,
and turns into slug
But
fest.
it's also
yeah.
they've
15,
changed the rules around. Like you can grab someone, yank past them, and as long as the ball doesn't come directly to you, it's play on.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you go outside in, fair.
Yeah, I'm a bit. I got done at country champs last year with that. I got like turned inside. I was like, thought normal been doing for 15 years, and I got called like 4 times. I was like,
Yeah.
mate, come on.
Yeah.
Played 4
So
games in 2 days. Like,
Look-
I'm too old for this.
I think by the way it's the rules have changed and stuff, they're trying to make it a more like visually spectacular sport. So I think they'd be happy with the 15 to 20 goals.
I
You're not
think it
really
is
getting
better.
many people that don't love water polo already tuning in for a game that's going to be 2-3.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think
boring.
from a marketing perspective, I think they've done exactly what they're trying to do.
I say extra man's definitely changed a lot. 'Cause 15 seconds, you can't just pass around and move
nothing.
and wait. Now it's like you got to,
That first opportunity,
Yeah.
you just got to go for
you're
it.
looking to score straight away, or like you just got to sip some passes quickly and do something. But yeah, no, I've been enjoying. You look up, it's like at Bigton. Like now you look up, and it's not that far to swim. Before I'd look up and be like, oh, fuck. And then I'm swimming all the way down, head down. But now it's like you can kind of go up and down a
Should
bit more.
come swim in the Crafter pool, mate. It's 23.5 meters. It's wicked.
Oh, that's right up my alley.
I'm like Aaron Younger up there, man.
It's also 32 degrees in the pool,
Yeah.
though. So.
yeah,
Tell the
Tucko,
Garmin it's 50 bucks.
Tucko, you were a champion boy back in the day at Scotch, weren't you?
For swimming.
Yeah.
Oh, there wasn't much competition.
I've
mate. It was
seen
pretty trash.
some. I looked at one article and I saw you on there, and yeah, obviously
Yeah,
your
but
dad.
we had no other swimmers. in my
Okay,
year,
yeah,
mate,
and your dad was obviously a really good swimmer.
I
yeah,
think you're selling yourself short a bit there, Tucko.
Oh,
He's
I've
a
never seen someone that can do
he's a
that
modest
many
man.
400s in a row.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
fitness was pretty crazy.
Even
Even
like-
with the last couple of years when you were still playing.
Yeah, I was
fitness
pretty fit in 2022. Like I
Yeah.
was.
Even the
humming
last
pretty
couple
quick.
Roto swims you've done have always been like top
Yeah,
5 finishes.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
pretty like hyper fixate when I put some of my mind to something. I can do
runs
it.
in the. Is
I've
Drew a good
never
swimmer as
noticed,
well?
eh?
Yeah, he's just a
Yeah,
he's
Drew's
a, he's
just
a
a fitness
workhorse,
freak.
man. You should see him on the bike. He's a
Yeah.
tank.
It's crazy.
He's just
man.
like a big block, and he just.
I made the mistake of challenging Drew to like one of the fitness challenges on an Apple Watch. And he sent me a Snapchat once of his like he had just gone to the gym, sat on a stationary bike for 3.5 hours just to be
Oh,
like,
man.
fuck you.
That's like, yeah,
He was
stationary
all-
bike for anything more than an hour and a half is boring as all heck. Yeah.
He was also scary as when we were coming in, and you couldn't fuck with him because
Nah.
as a younger, because he'd sort you out real quick.
Oh man, I learned as a 12-year-old, don't muck with Drew.
He's also got the hardest head ever, mate.
Yeah. I think I was like 13 or 14. I was like, man, I'm never fighting this kid ever again. He can belt me.
He'd belt you up, and then he'd laugh at you, like he'd smile at you. So it wasn't like
Yeah, he's a gentle
you knew he
giant,
was a
old
good
Drew.
guy, but you just don't fuck with him. But you need that in any team, I reckon. You need someone like that to make sure, the young boys. You,
Mate, I tell you what, I've got so much admiration, respect for Drewy. Like to churn out the games that he did with his
injuries.
body issues and injuries, working his absolute backside off, and still played it and was a bloody good player as well. Like, and to be what is he 180, like, or not even 6 foot, and be a centre back.
Drew's
Like,
big, taller than 6 foot. Drew's taller
Drewy,
than me, man.
Drewy, can I get a fact check? I actually don't know how tall
Drew's
you
taller than me, man.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100%.
6 foot. Let's say 6 foot.
I'm 6'1".
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh. You must be taller than me. Then. Anyways,
Drew's
as a
massive,
small, we'll think
man.
about for a
Yeah.
centre back.
Even that, like, the
6'1"
usual centre
small.
back, 6'5".
Yeah,
like,
minimum.
Yeah, you look
And
at
he's
your red bonds and your bloody.
Yeah.
Not as
And-
tall as Sam Quinn.
Yeah.
Or Red
Yeah.
Bond.
Like I honestly, as a player, like I remember him in juniors, and in juniors he was genuinely the best centre back in his age group by the length of a country mile. But because he played Tom's way, the fast around, and
lane.
he played it really, really well. And then when he came to the national junior setup, they played that more traditional
Yeah,
style.
sit
It didn't-
behind.
Yeah, and I don't think it suited him that great, and he's turned out that he can do it and do it really, really well. I just don't think he got that opportunity, which is always a bit
Tough.
fattening. Yeah.
Yeah. Drewy, obviously, I've had the pleasure of living with both of the Verboon boys.
Oh, this
At
is
some
a good
stage
topic,
over my
actually. This is a
tenure.
great topic.
But yeah, my cap number this year is actually a bit of an ode to Drewy, number 2.
You're number 2 this year.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
Drewy Pete Tomasevich. I did bully my co-host over there, Craig, out of his cap for it. But
I had it down, and then Benetti's. I was like, "Oh my god, we need the number 2 cap. How's this happening?"
how
And then
good's-
he swooped in.
How good's finally getting into single digits in the
Yeah.
Mariners cap? Oh, mate, it's like the best moment
I wasn't
ever.
too mad because then I got left with 4. I was like, "I'll definitely take that." Got Will Mackay as assistant coach, and that was his number, and it's also Gabby, the manager's favorite number. So got on the good side of the manager and the assistant coach.
How are you finding having Will and Foxy? I've never had either of them as a
Good.
coach. I was
Very good, yeah.
always wanted Foxy the coach, but was
he's
never
such
good enough.
he's perfect for the Mariners culture. Like
Yeah.
he knows exactly what he wants. He knows how to get all the boys to buy in and be like, "Yep, you've decided you want to work hard. Let's
Yeah.
do it together." But he also has the laid back approach where it's like, it's your guys' choice. Like, we're doing this if you want to do
Yeah.
it, which works really well, I think, for the group of
Yeah.
boys we have at the moment.
Oh, it's been it's
Especially-
been very refreshing, I'd say for sure.
So
It's
not like the old school taskmaster.
Yeah,
Do as I
'cause
say.
No,
That's like
Awesome.
it's been perfect. Yeah.
I'm not the best player by any means, but I kind of stopped playing the last 2 years, and it was kind of just like I lost that motivation
The
to
old
play
school
because
style, eh?
I'd go down, then it just didn't have. Still love the boys, but I just didn't get like I didn't feel like I got much out of it, and like
yeah.
Well,
It's
as you said, you play for that social
Yeah.
interaction.
I
and
lost
if,
that-
if it is that totalitarian regime where it's my way or the highway, you don't really get that out of it. Like, you're just sitting there.
But if you get a bit of both and it's a bit more balanced, then you can buy into it more, and you want to buy into it.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly. It becomes your choice instead
Yeah.
of do it now.
And then Boxy's really good, like with tactics and everything, and he's pretty laid back, but also he's got both sides. And then Will he's really good, like G up, like
Really?
yeah, he's a
also
good G up.
I love that
type of
Will
guy.
hates losing as much. as
Yeah,
he
he
does.
hates
Like, I love
losing,
that it
and
actually
he'll
bothers
like
him.
G you up to play, like, and he still has that old culture in him as well, obviously, because he's played through all those days.
He's
too.
got the dog. He's always had the dog in him.
yeah.
If I can take you slightly inside the 4 walls, because that would have the hunt for the new coach basically coincided with when I joined the committee.
Were you the catalyst, Gunny?
Gunny had the inside
The
news.
puppet master.
So I obviously can't say everything, but so Doody's contract was expiring, and so I guess the club was looking for someone to take that role, and you have Doody, who's very much goes to his like Serbian roots. It's the very didactic way of coaching.
Authoritarian.
Yeah, exactly.
Autocratic, whatever it's called.
Yeah. Which you could kind of tell in the last year or two of his coaching that possibly some boys weren't as receptive to that and to him as when he first came across. And so a lot of the discussions about finding the new coaches, you look at your tick boxes. One of them is like, we'll develop a youth system, and because the team that we had before we got some of the imports in, is you're looking at you're looking at like a very young team, one of the youngest teams we've probably ever produced, apart from probably the 99 2000 team when you had Timmy and Christian come in. So yeah, you're looking at someone like that, and you're looking probably about a coach like Laurie Treadle who came in, and it's very open, and yeah, not as authoritarian as perhaps we had with Doody. So when I heard name John Fox come up, you obviously you look at his CV and it's
Speaks for itself.
It's spectacular, yeah. But then all of his focus in the last few years of being in the like the national age groups coach, it was.
Did you have an
match made in
interview
heaven.
process as part of it? I'm just intrigued because I'm just parallels because I was on a couple of panels this year in my school, like getting teachers in and stuff, and it was really interesting, like the process of getting the CV, getting the letter of why they want to be at the school, and then the interview process and how like rigid it is. I'm intrigued to see.
Yeah, I wasn't quite in those discussions.
Okay, yeah.
It was more just you're getting the updates as you get them, and like this is before we even had sort of names. It was like this is exactly what we want, and then you sort of get the names filtering through, and you're like yes, no. But then that's all done by Rob and the like management committee.
Yeah. We also had before Foxy, because Foxy came like early January, so pretty recently. We haven't had him too long. So we had Pav coaching through the whole of State League.
What a world of knowledge!
Yeah, so good. You can like tell he just knows so much about the game, and he's very it's a very open coach. He's like, there's not one way of doing things. It's like if this happens, and then maybe someone moves slightly this way, then you've got to do this, and it's like kind of saying you got to make up your own mind as well. You can't just be like parallel. And like it was pretty refreshing to have Pav coach as well. Obviously,
for sure. I think it was definitely very good in terms of it was a massive step away from that one. Like this is how we're doing it. This is exactly what I drew up. This is what we're
the role
doing.
you're going to play.
Yeah, it's more he just let us play with that creativity and like let you do your own thing while still being like there are some decisions you like should make. You've got to be able to see this and adapt. Yeah. Instead of like, oh, I told you to do this. And I think the systems he taught us through that have come in seriously handy now that Foxy's come along. Yeah. And like the defense that he wants to play and the role he wants all the boys to play.
Yeah. And then, obviously, I don't know how much of the Olympics you watched, but Pav was just like...
Mate, I was showing my kids at mentor class every day, Pav scoring goals. Yeah. And they were like, they couldn't care less. Yeah. But I was like, man, watch this guy do that game where he scored 4 goals and just, was it against Serbia?
And
he just lit it up and it was like insane. And I was like, proud friend alert, just like, it just, from knowing Pav from a young age and knowing the talent that he had to then, it took some time to get the mental side of it. Yeah. It really embodied what happens when you've got an athlete that's got physical ability and then matches it up with the mental capacity as well. And that's
crazy to see the transformation,
that's the outcome. Man. Yeah, and it's not a linear journey.
Yeah, it shows that you can get somewhere without just being a straight line. You got heaps of ups and downs and make your way up. And then he's on the best stage ever in front of everyone. Everyone's watching and he's just having the best time.
Yeah, you were there live. What was it like to experience it live?
It was crazy. And like, it was such a weird experience to go from like being at the pool and seeing him and almost like being a fanboy, like being like, holy crap, like that has to be one of the best players in the world, to then actually getting the opportunity to go and speak to him after the game and like talk to him. And
I get on the beers with this guy.
Like you've been one of my really good friends for the last like 6 or 7 years. Yeah. Like it's just such, and the same goes for Johnny Hedges. Like it's just such a wild thing to like the juxtaposition of it. Like it's your friend, you know everything, you know all the good parts about him, you know all the bad parts, and just like the juxtaposition of seeing what I've seen in the past and like where he's at now. And not to say where he was in the past was ever bad. Like he's always been crazy good at water polo and always had everything. But it's just nuts to see. Like now, it feels like it's almost all coming together a bit for him. Yeah. And like knowing the work he's put in to get there, it's crazy to watch.
So it's like he went to Spain for a couple of years, but it's probably like pretty hard to watch the game. So not many, I wouldn't have seen much of him. So then wasn't until the Olympics that I was like, wow.
How good was the coverage of the Olympics? It was awesome.
Yeah, made
Like,
it.
you
That's what makes
whatever
it easy
game
to
you
watch.
want,
Yeah.
whenever you wanted, they had the highlights packages. It was really, they've come leaps and bounds from a couple of years ago where it was not crash hot and you'd put on the water polo and be bloody equestrian or something like that.
Yeah, they're running a good operation.
Yeah, whatever Channel 9's doing, they're doing a...
Or Sharon Collis getting in the directory.
'Cause that's like, obviously water polo is not the most popular sport, but those are the moments where like other people that I know that don't know water polo, that's when they're going to see it. When it's on Channel 9 or on something like that during the Olympics and Australia's doing well, that's when people are going to see it, and then they might be more interested to see it like down to the local club and stuff like that.
It's like building those connections. Like I remember I sent Pav a message on Instagram, and I tried not to harangue him and be like, oh, good luck and all that. I said, hey mate, like I've been watching your games, I've been showing the kids at school, could you send me like a 30-second video? And I didn't really want to push him too hard because I knew he's focusing and they're doing well. But he was more than happy. He sent this like 30-second video in. I was like, show my kids. I was like, yeah, and they loved it. They put it up on the school like social page, and like just to have that interaction from an Olympian to some public school kids as well is such a it could be such a inspiring moment for those kids. It might not be a water polo, it could be any sport. But that you
playing
can
for your
do.
country, and you got someone that's doing it, and he's talking to them for sure.
He's also like, besides the two of yourself, he's also a great example of that. Like, I was given to, so I'll give back. Like, as soon as he came back to WA, not to say he's not getting paid for it, but he's coaching at Melville, he's coaching the State League boys, he's coaching at Aquinas. Like, the wealth of knowledge just that he's just been like, yep, I'll share it with whoever is crazy.
Because it's IP, we don't own it. Like, it's the people that started water polo, and it's just, it passes down generation to generation. So it's just passing it down, you know?
Yeah.
One thing I hope that doesn't. I'm glad to hear. It makes me happy to hear that someone like Pav is doing that, because like, I know Gunny and I have spoken about it. Like, other than us, there haven't been a heck of a lot of young junior coaches that have come through the juniors and then gone.
We see Damo now. Damo's got the 18As boys in the water.
Oh,
like,
good.
he's taking on a bit more of a coaching role now. And I think from what he's saying, he's actually loving it as well.
Awesome.
So Damo and I are taking the 18s to the AYC this year.
Are you?
Yeah.
Dream team. Did you feel like, obviously Gunny and Dave's doing coaching when you were younger, do you feel like that's helped you in your professional career as well?
You can go first, Gunny. I've been talking too much.
It's hard to say. I don't deal with
It's
too
probably
many kids
different
at
for you
work.
and Tucko.
Yeah, I mean, Davis being a teacher, it's very similar to the coaching. I wouldn't necessarily say from a coaching point of view that it's helped me with work, but I guess just the life experience, all the trips overseas that you go to, like you have like if I catch up with someone with work, or one of my patients is from like Belgrade, for example, be like, oh yeah, I was there when it was like 67 degrees and it was boiling. People across I guess Europe, you have that way to connect with them a bit, which wouldn't necessarily have had the opportunity to do otherwise.
Yeah.
I think for me, it kind of being a teacher, like, what did I become a teacher? Because I enjoyed water polo coaching. I think there's definitely a lot of similarities. I must admit, I found really hard being a teacher. I felt when I was a water polo coach, I knew what I was talking about, like, relatively speaking, I knew what I was talking about. And then you get to becoming a teacher and you don't have that confidence in yourself. So the first couple of years, I really, really struggled because I didn't have that knowledge of like ex-Olympians telling me what I need to do.
Yeah.
But certainly in terms of understanding kids and having that innate ability to help young people better themselves and provide them with opportunities to become better or to have a better life. There's definitely a lot of parallels between a teacher and a sports coach. And again, the experiences that we got to go on, you get a really great perspective of the world, of different cultures and stuff like that. But definitely and sometimes I forget that not a lot of people have had that perspective. Like, a lot of my kids haven't been on 20 or 30 national titles trips, haven't been to Europe 4 or 5 times. Like, it gives you that perspective that you're so lucky to have that. But definitely it helps you be a better teacher, because as a coach, particularly a coach of junior, you are a teacher. You're a teacher, and you're not just a teacher of sport. You're a teacher of
Life.
of life. And that's what sport does, I think, really, really well. It does set you up for dealing with people, for dealing with challenging people, for people that you don't necessarily agree with, but you have to be in a team together. And a lot of people that I work with or have worked with, they haven't had that experience. They don't know how to work and integrate, even if they don't necessarily agree.
Yeah. Gunny, also just reminded me about Europe. I wanted to ask you about my twin was there. He was crying. You were there with Tom Hode when there was a bit of a terrorist attack. If I could say
you reckon?
that, in Nice, and you guys were right there on the streets when it happened somehow. So
Yeah, I can talk about it. It's going on a different route than I thought, but yeah. So this is my first. It would have been my first trip as an assistant coach manager, and that one we went to. My memory's not great between the 2 years that I coached, but we were in France at the time. We were in Nice, and throughout the rest of that trip, that was sort of 2/3 of the way through. We'd been billeted the whole way through, which is great for the kids. You get to stay with different families in different places. But this was the first time they were in a team hotel, so they actually got to spend like
Time
nights with
together.
each other. Yeah, they had meals together, all that sort of stuff, which is as you guys would know from being in the trips yourself. Yeah, billeting's great from a like cultural and social aspect,
Cost perspective.
and cost perspective. Not that we were worried about costs when we were playing, but
True. Hey, I paid for my second one.
but yeah, when you get into a hotel, you just want to let loose. And so I think the second night that we were in Nice for, it was Bastille Day in France, sometime in July. And I said to the boys, look, there's heaps of fireworks down on the big promenade of Nice. Like, knock yourselves out, have a good night. Just make sure you're home by like 10 o'clock or whatever I said. I was just relaxing in the hotel room with Jake Levy, Tucko, who was there with me as well, from like an assistant coach point of view. And we were just watching TV or something. And I got a call from, I won't name names, but I got a call from one of the boys. And
go on.
yeah, wasn't Harry. And he calls me. He said, "Oh, Gunny, you got to come and like fetch us. There's a terrorist attack." And like knowing, like as a coach, and you've got like 14, even like 15, 16-year-old boys, you're like,
Surely
shut
not.
up. Like, yeah, I don't believe you. Like, go away. So I stuck my head out the window. Like, couldn't hear anything. We were probably 2 or 3K from the promenade was, so we were a fair distance away. Couldn't hear anything. I was like, like, shut up. I'll come and fetch you later on. So that was that. Kept watching TV, and then I was talking to Tucko. I was like, oh, we should probably actually go down and just see, like, in case they're saying something. Oh, we'll just wander down and see. And again, so we start walking out. Everything's completely normal on the street. Don't hear sirens. Don't hear anything. Like nothing of that. Of that. And then I got a call from one of the boys' mums, and she was like, "Where are the boys?" And as I was pretty young on that trip, I was probably only 18 or 19, and you're responsible for however many we took, 15-year-olds, and you get a call from a mum in Perth, which would have been probably 3 a.m., being like, "Where's my son?" You're like,
Was it that wave?
yeah, it didn't.
Horrible feeling.
Yeah, and I'm like, like I'm just going down to grab them. Like I'm just walking down now. Everything seems to be fine, but like I'll let you know when it happens. And unbeknownst to me, they've been like calling their mums. They've been putting on Facebook like, like we're in this. They were in a restaurant at the moment, like down right in the basement, and so I didn't know anything. And then you sort of were walking for another few minutes, and then you start seeing like people like running against you. You see the cops like swarming, trying to like direct crowds and all that sort of stuff. And then exactly that, it's like sinking feelings. And so I like walked up to this cop. I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And I didn't speak a lick of English. And I was just like, no, like can't talk. Basically, from what I could translate from what she was saying in French. I was like, oh dear. So I like started ringing the boys, trying to work out where they were, and somehow met up with them. I don't exactly remember how it all happened, but yeah, they'd I think they were on the promenade, but they were on the far side. It's massive, probably 3 or 4K promenade. Like it's a long thing.
Because it was like a truck, and
Yeah.
someone was just mowing down people, and then they started shooting or something.
So
Good
then
recap.
Yeah, that was basically
So I
the
was-
gist I heard.
Yeah, so I was started getting calls from the boys saying like there's an active shooter and all that sort of stuff. But from looking at the news reports later, it was just the cops firing on the lorry basically because it was a big lorry.
Big cars just driving through the
Yeah,
street. Yeah, through
yeah.
the parade. Yeah.
Yeah, so thankfully they were on the other side and they'd like obviously heard everything and sheltered up.
Yeah, I remember Harry saying they was sprinting through the street, and there was just people sitting down eating dinner, and they just started screaming at them. And everyone just got up, started running with them.
Yeah.
So roughly,
Yeah.
how close in proximity were you to the people or the van?
So I was nowhere near it. The boys would have been. It's hard to know without knowing like exactly where they were,
Yeah.
but they were on the promenade, and they probably would have been maybe a K or two down
Wow.
Wow.
from it. So pretty close enough to.
How was that as a moment as an 18-year-old, like trying to navigate that whole trip and dealing with parents? That would have been a real lesson in life
Yeah.
skills that week period.
Yeah.
Even after.
Don't
it.
admit that they were by themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely hadn't told the boys to go out and just enjoy yourselves tonight. And that trip was a little bit different to the others because there was no Kenny Allen with it. It was basically
just
Tom and
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tucko was there for that like week or two. So eventually got all the boys, and you're trying to like console these kids who are like rightfully shaken. And I was okay because I hadn't actually seen what had happened, and at that point we didn't actually know anything, just the fact that there were guns going off and there was something happening. But yeah, I think I'd spoke to one or two of the parents being like, no, we've got everyone. Well, we didn't actually have anyone at that point. There were two that
Good skill there.
Yeah.
Gunny.
No, I remember Isaac Jones
out the
and someone
fires.
else got separated, right?
yeah, it was Flinny, I think. I think it was
Oh,
Flinny.
Flynn.
Flinny took Isaac under his wing. But they got there like very shortly
Because
after.
they were in like some restaurant's basement or something.
You'd
So
have to
Harry-
ask Flynn.
Oh,
yeah.
that's what Harry was saying.
Yeah. So yeah, they eventually got there, and we spoke to the parents and like, call your parents, tell them you're okay, all that sort of stuff.
Harry handed you the phone because he couldn't talk. I think he was too shaken up. He gave it to Gunny.
I
Talk
do
to him
remember
up.
that actually. Yeah.
Sorry, Harry. It's like 14 or something. So.
Yeah, he was the
probably
youngest
fair.
on the trip by a fair way.
Yeah.
And I said to the boys, "Oh, like, don't worry, we won't train tomorrow. Like, we'll take a few, like, just relax."
What was Tom doing during the whole?
Yeah, I want to know how Tom.
Where was he? What was he
Tom would
doing?
have put an extra train.
Where was Tom during the thing?
So like Tucko and I were in our room, and Tom was in his room, and none of the
Watching
boys, none of the boys had clearly thought to call Tom. They just called me.
Oh, so he
which-
didn't know
He was
anything.
completely oblivious. So once I got all the boys in, I knocked on his door and I said, and it would have been about 10 or 11 o'clock at this point.
SBS was on TV.
yeah. Wasn't expecting a reply anyway. He opens the door and I was like, "Oh, Tom, by the way, there's like from the reports, there's been a terrorist attack. All the boys are fine. Like I've got him." And it's like, it's like, "Oh, okay. Like thanks for letting me know." Door shut. See him in the morning. But yeah, the next day was so surreal because obviously after something like that, like everything shuts down. I told the boys they weren't training and wasn't expecting to train. And then Tom
Said,
sort of
"Bugger
gets
it, we're
through.
training."
Yeah. He's like, "All right, boys, like time to go. It's 8 o'clock. What are we doing?" And in hindsight, I think getting a bit of like normality back into the trip might have been a good thing in hindsight.
100%.
So we did go to the pool, and it was all shut, as everything was. And I think we had a flight out of Nice, probably 2 o'clock that day. So got out of there pretty quickly and reset. I can't remember where we flew to, but yeah, the whole experience was.
Harrowing by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and I came out of it pretty well because I wasn't like on the promenade per se, but yeah, some of the boys were pretty rattled.
But still, you would have had to deal with like calling all the parents and letting them know and doing
Yeah.
the face. I remember that you putting the updates on the Facebook
In fact,
page at that
yeah.
stage.
Yeah,
That would have been a pretty
Mm.
resilient character building time, I'd imagine, as a young 18-year-old.
yeah.
I couldn't imagine doing that at 18.
Oh man.
Jesus.
Trying to think. I think it was 2015, so I would have been a year out of school.
Yeah. So, Tom, just I'm surprised. So, like, you're 18 and you got to go as an
No,
assistant coach, as manager.
2015 would have been my last one. Sorry to interrupt.
So maybe I was.
'Cause
I
would've
think it's
been-
2016.
2016.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going
So
to say,
2015 was when
year
we
10,
went, yeah.
2015, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Sorry
Either way,
to
I was under
interrupt.
20.
Oh yeah, because then Tucko was on your.
Mm.
Because we were talking about Tom with that a lot.
Mm.
Yeah. A couple of the cliff jumping and all that. We
Yeah,
got Tom-
yeah. Let's
Tom to go
move to
through
some
all that.
lighter topics.
Yeah, and then obviously, Gunny, you're on the committee. We saw the Instagram post for getting some funding at the club.
Oh yeah. I can speak to that. So, there's been plans for. I mean, we've been hearing about plans for 20 years about developments of the club, but probably over the last few months, probably the last 6 months,
Timmy's been
been-
getting the blueprints out.
there's been quite a
I'd
significant.
hate to see
effort.
those blueprints.
Timmy's got a back cave, like lifts
Yeah.
down from his house. Just presses a
Literally.
button, presses like the chords on the piano, and just drops down
It's
to the
just
pool.
it's
Welcome.
it's a lubed up fireman's pole, mate.
Yeah, I remember being
So-
shit faced in there one night and he was showing me and Peter all the blueprints. I was like, "Oh, let's go.
So yeah, we got architects. I say we. I'm not involved at all.
Have they
but
tendered to build it yet?
not yet, I don't think.
Getting any
But yeah,
involved.
certainly the
Yeah, talk
architects
to
have
me
been
after.
involved. There's plans. Yeah. But yeah, so on the back end of the game, Saturday night, Lisa O'Malley, who's the local member, made the announcement that if it's a re-elected Labor government, they'll put $2 million into the redevelopment, which at the moment, I think it's around the $7.5 million mark projected costs. So significant investment.
So
Can you
does that-
speak to the rumours we're getting a second pool?
Yeah.
That
was posted. Yeah.
I
So
saw that
that's
on
that's
the.
not hearsay. That's
I
legit.
I just
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
that on the blueprint as well.
Oh, really? Is
Yeah.
it up behind? Or what's...
yeah.
It's on that,
speak
like,
to
the
design a
grassy
bit, or is
hill.
it-
Yeah, so it's a. I hope I'm allowed to say some of this, but so when they
We can just edit it out. If
Yeah.
not, we'll get
Yeah,
some-
well,
Jamie,
yeah,
cut
no
that.
way.
Yeah, that's right.
So when the plans were done by the architects and presented to the club, so there was it got all the life members down, the committee members, and a few other people important to the club. That was presented to us, and the guide from Rob was basically, we're not presenting a plan to the club that doesn't involve a second pool. I mean, Davis knows, but we're very lucky to have our own pool, but the water space over the last few years has gone crazy.
It's limited our
Sorry.
output. Let's be like,
Tucko.
it really has limited our
Tucko,
output.
I'm not 100% sure, but was Rob Verboon involved in building the Beaton pool?
No.
So
That-
does
no,
he?
no.
Would he build pools or do anything like
No,
that?
no.
Pool
he just
manager, wasn't he?
managed
Yeah.
That
Challenge-
might have just been
Challenge Stadium.
through the
Yeah,
mills.
no, he was Challenge Stadium and stuff.
Oh,
like
Challenge
that.
Stadium,
Yeah.
yeah.
Didn't help build it or anything
Yeah.
like that. He was just he ran them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But no, that was all the old nation. So like David, Harry, their parents.
Yeah.
Frank
The old-
Whitcomb.
Yeah,
as well.
they were the originals in like the 70s.
What were they in there with
72?
were they in there with the shovel? What are we talking?
Pretty much, yeah. It was pretty, from my understanding, it was pretty well voluntary built. Yeah.
Well, they got all the little Nation kids running around. Just grab a
God.
shovel.
It's a workforce, mate.
But it's really going to get us back up, in my mind, back up to speed with the other
Yeah.
clubs.
Oh, I
hope.
can't wait to just
I-
not have to train at 8:30 at night.
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily do that. So the from
Sorry,
the
Lockie.
yeah, I probably can't speak too
Baiters
much.
could be going back in the wardrobe.
I won't say that. I can't say too much about the plans because I don't know where we're up to at the moment. But it was a plan for just like a shallow kids, like polo swim type. Because we're really limited space wise from where Timmy's house is to the back of the club, and we can't really move the actual building of the club.
Forward.
As I said, I don't know where they're up to at the moment with what the dimensions of the pool are going to be. But it's probably the only place we can put the pool is just behind the club.
So in terms of like the council, like you're not allowed to move it forward, or it would just be too costly to.
It's more just building space. So you just can't
So I
quite get
imagine,
it wide enough.
I imagine there's a limit that you're allowed to be as close to the river as we are, and stuff like that. Like how far back you have to be from the river. And,
No. So it's behind the club. It's between the club and Timmy's
but
house.
I'm saying like, why is it too?
Oh, I see. So it's the Swan River Trust, I think they're called, reclaiming land from the Swan River these days is like
Big
impossible.
no-no. Yeah.
So you get away with it in the 1940s. But,
Yeah. When you
these
can just
days,
move the boundary stakes and
See,
no
I
one
think-
checked.
Yeah, just run the pipe across the river. Yeah.
We'll be right.
Yeah, only for it to pop up 3 days later.
Mm.
So possibly on the west side of the complex, there was a possibility, but yeah, as I said,
Like where
I
the
don't know
Wharfie bar is now.
Yeah. So if we take a little bit of land back,
Oh,
from
are we gonna get the spa back?
I
Mate,
think
you take a second pool over a spa any day.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but
one would be nice.
The spas
One
are
or the other
yeah.
would be nice.
The spa's a different issue. That's a health and safety issue.
Yeah,
that
that's
one.
fair
Oh,
enough.
really? It's a
Sure.
miracle that thing was running for as long as it did. Has it been shut for a little while? Has it?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Yeah, shock,
Gunny.
mate. That thing stunk.
Gunny, you're a doctor, mate. Just do something in there. I don't know. Put some chemicals in it. or
well, see, the
something.
problem is I know how dangerous it is. So I'm not. I can't sign off that.
Okay.
Nah, so you
I'll
know,
sign
what-
it off.
yeah.
Is this too like? I don't know if you guys want to say it or do you guys want to get some your starting 7 Mariners squad, your favorite ever starting 7 from any
In
time
what-
over the
in-
years?
So like a team that you want to win a flag? Is that
Yeah,
rounding it
I'd
up?
say. Do you want to do that? I'd say a team that you want to win the flag.
Yeah.
Can you
I
conjure
was
that
actually
up?
talking about this on Saturday. It's so hard.
So
hey?
the Tucko's starting 7 to win a
Yeah,
flag.
Tucko's all-time
But-
7.
Tucko's gonna think about all aspects. You need all types of players. We're not just looking at superstars, or maybe we are. I don't
Gunny's
know.
got some extra
There's a couple
time.
superstars that have both values, Cena.
I think I need it.
If you don't say me, I'll be annoyed.
No, we're not. We're doing input.
Oh,
we're
from
not doing-
7, mate.
Tucko's first player, Davis Verboon, on the wing.
I think I'm going to go with the 2 lefties. I'm going to go Pav and Timmy Niche. I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty deadly
We've
combo.
had some athletes come out of our
And then let's just go position by position. Then you've got centre backs. So you've got Timmy Cleland and Pete Tomasevich. They're probably your 2.
yeah.
And Red Bond. They're your 3 in that category. Jeez, what do you? Timmy Cleland or Pete? I can't.
Yeah, from what
Maybe
I
Pete because he had more attacking prowess. Gave the. I don't feel qualified to talk about this
Yeah.
whatsoever. Slightly, definitely not making any friends. But no, I think I'd go Pete. Lefty, top,
centre forward.
centre forward. So there's Beadsworth, Tresice, Swift, and
What Cody could have been.
yeah, JP Lalonde is yeah. I think Beadsworth. I think
You reckon?
Beadsworth. Yeah. And then you've got your right-handers. So you got Danny Lawrence was pretty incredible. Cover,
Younger.
Christian Hode, Aaron Younger. Are you including Aaron Younger?
Came out of Freo, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think-
Came out of the Tom Hode Polo
I think
factory.
Joe Kay's another centre forward.
True.
Another to think about.
Mm.
Probably Aaron Younger gets one of those spots.
Bano's a beast.
Probably,
And
you reckon?
Did I say Aaron Younger? Probably.
Yeah.
He definitely gets a spot. And I think Christian Hode. So to round it
You
out,
reckon Hodie over Danny Lawrence?
I don't know. Aaron Younger, I think Hodie, he encapsulates what the Mariners are.
Yeah.
I think Hodie, Beadsworth, Pav, Timmy Niche, Pete Tomasevich, Younger, and then in the sticks, gee, there's some good one, isn't there? Thomas Lasich, Stanton.
Slady.
I'm going to go with Lasich. Those games in 98 where he just like turned it on and just went beast mode and they had the ABC commentary. I think I might.
Bring back the
Peter
day.
Petrov.
Oh yeah,
Petrov
Peter
as
Petrov.
well.
He's like, I think he's top goal scorer over the years.
I left Peter Petrov out.
You could make a couple starting.
Left Cover out. I don't know, man. It's a pretty
You're
bloody.
not winning when you're making this. Yeah.
No, there's no way to win.
Lasich. Didn't get to see him, but I saw him in that game. He was insane. Yeah, that's my starting 7.
Yep, solid as.
Who's your coach?
You can have one person off the bench, the enforcer, and
Who's
a
your-
enforcer off
who's
the
your
bench.
seventh man?
Oh, Peter Petrov, 100%.
Ah.
Without a shadow of a doubt. He should be in the starting teams, to
Yeah.
be honest.
And coach
Coach,
Tucko.
nah. For a while, I did really want to coach the Mariners. I don't know. Never say never, but we'll see.
I'll make a comeback if you coach a Mariners, Tucko.
Coach. Oh. So I'm thinking about their personnel. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know.
So you've got Arrow in there, who's won
Arrow.
3 now.
Yeah,
You've got Hody.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Tom.
TH,
Laurie,
Christian Hud.
David Swift coaching for a couple of
David
years.
Swift, one a few.
Richo.
Richo.
Richo, geez, some good
Lazar.
coaches. I think you got to go Tom just for the like. You
Yeah.
can't have a Mariners team and not pick Tom.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have Tom on
Yeah,
the
I'm
ones
not
and
sure. I'm
twos,
not sure how
unfortunately.
that team would go as Tom as their
How
coach,
does-
but I think it's
yeah.
a.
How does the dynamic go if you've got Christian Hode in the team as well?
Yeah, because that was a thing though back in the day.
Yeah.
They won with Christian. Are we going to get a team out of you, Gunny?
I
Oh,
don't.
I was hoping you weren't going to ask.
I mean, you don't have to.
It's again, at least Davis has seen like a few of the olderish teams. I mean, for left-handers, you've got to lock it. Sorry, Benetti, but you've got to lock in
Stitch up.
Timmy and Pav. You got to lock in Aaron Younger. Centre forward, just because I've watched Swifty play, I'd go with Swifty. A memory of the Tomo Cup back in the day in Beadsworth. Just don't. Never watched him enough. We'll go Pete in there as centre back. More just for the speeches that he used to give, the rev ups, talking about how life is just a
Holding down
pizza.
the sun.
Yeah. You need all the different toppings.
Yeah.
Probably. Pete definitely has taught me. Obviously behind Tom, probably one of the most influential people from my career, my very short career. Right-hander side. I've already got Younger over there, don't I? Who would you put as your 7th?
You got to go Petrov. Pick Petrov because I did.
Okay, fine. Peter Petrov.
Goals? Goalie?
I think I'd probably go with Slady. I
Slade.
reckon. Yeah, or Ed Muir.
Just before we move on, I'll put a wrap on it. You don't have to answer this, but I'd love to hear both of your thoughts on who, like, the scariest 6 would be to line up against with people that you've played
Mitch
with.
Ainsworth.
See,
Mate,
this is what we need.
Mitch Ainsworth. Yeah, Mitch Ainsworth, man. He belted me when I was 15 once. I was scared the daylights out of me. He terrified me. Mitch Ainsworth in there.
Sure, you're gonna have Timmy Nation.
Timmy's terrifying. Who else there?
I'd put Drew Verboon in there. Just from personal experience anyway.
I wouldn't.
Cleveland was
mess
pretty
you up,
scary.
Drew.
I remember I
Cleveland.
won one A grade game. We versed the Melville team at the time, well, the B team, and they had literally 9 Australian players. And I drove. We were like, let's not have a centre forward. We lost 20 goals to 2. And I drove into centre forward on Tim Cleland. He drove straight out. He's like, good fucking one, man. Good one. Good one. I was this 15-year-old. I was like, shit. So Cleland's in there just terrifying.
Red Bonds kind of.
Oh, yeah, he just can't.
He's a big softy, old Redders. Or in his older days, he was anyway. By the time I
He'll
came
love
through,
you saying that.
yeah. You're looking trim though, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. Timmy, Mitch Ainsworth, Swifty belted.
Who's is it Sasha? Or like I don't know. I remember it's some.
Holder's kid. No, he wasn't that much chop.
No.
No.
It's just some. Oh, maybe maybe it'll just cover. Someone was saying was a bit of a hothead as well. But I don't know if you'd put him in there with the scariest.
Probably Johnny Neesham would go a fair way.
Oh yeah,
He broke my nose. The only time I've ever broken my nose was a social comp with Johnny Neesham.
Damn.
And that Hungarian guy we had a couple of years ago, Laszlo, I roomed with him once, and
Okay.
he picked up the mirror in our room and turned it around because he said the gypsies are watching. So that's
That's
pretty scary.
terrifying.
that
to be
scared
fair.
me. Not from an impull, but I was holding my pillow pretty tight that road trip. That was pretty
What about
scary.
Goalie wise, which one?
Who's a scary
jumps
goalie?
out?
Johnny Hedges when he went through his angry phase for a while. He was pretty terrifying.
It's only because I know Stanton's the most mellow guy, but he was pretty intimidating as a young fella. Lasich again, man. He came up to play for Karratha because he works for the Department of Education and he's a mentor teacher. And he was like chirping people in local Karratha Waterpolo. Just for the yap. I was like, yeah, he's in there.
I rate that.
Yeah.
Can't turn off that dog.
Yeah.
I think I'd firmly nominate Arrow as the coach for that. I think the first this has taken us back a fair way. I think 2015 was my first Mariners year, and Arrow Arrow was coaching at the time. I think he'd just come back, so he'd won 2.
Had a couple of years. Timmy
premierships.
coached 2 years, and then he came and filled in
That's
the
it.
second
He
half
was
of the
just
year.
after
When,
Timmy.
yeah.
Yeah. And he's come down, and we were just playing a practice game, and I was playing on Will McKay, and this is me. But you guys who know me, I don't think I hit puberty until about 2 years ago. So I was this tiny little tacker. I was playing against Will McKay with his however he kicks
Crazy
his
legs.
legs. Yeah. And he just jumped over me and stolen the ball, and I'd sort of simulated for a foul. And I got the biggest bake of my life from Arrow, who was refereeing and standing, because it was right on the side of the pool. He's there. He's just giving me the biggest bake of my life, being don't ever stimulate, protect the ball, all this sort of stuff. And then proceeded to play me a few games for that year. But
Speaking of Arrow bakes, I reckon Tucko's had one of the all-time
Yeah,
best.
I think I needed Clancy would be remiss of me to tell this story. I think it was in 2013 era where I just started. Absolute young whippersnapper, had no idea. And we're doing extra man and Arrow. It was kind of like a rhetorical question, but he'd say any thoughts from anyone? And everyone was just I think it was 8:30 at night. Everyone was like, want to go? It's I think it's a bit one-dimensional. We could do a bit more. I think since that day, Arrow's hated me for the rest of his life. I think I got one high five ever from him in a game at Drummoyne, and I was like, this is the greatest day ever. But yeah, no, I think Clancy would like me telling that story. I think I was 17 at the time.
Bit dimensional, mate. Not gonna lie.
I have to tell one quick Arrow story. So we had Tomo Cup 2012 or something, and I was same again, young kid, no idea, didn't play, and we're having our team chat up in the foyer upstairs. You do before Verse and Vashash or whoever it was, and having a team tour, and Arrow's being all serious, like, yeah, Fano, you're gonna sit on him, and you're gonna play over there, and up in the corner, up above the trophy cap, there's a mouse. He goes, is that a fucking mouse? And then on road trip a couple of weeks later, Red Bull put a computer mouse above the cabinet and sent a photo to the boys. Is that a fucking mouse? That's enough for me.
Let's go. No, keep them coming. We need more.
Yeah, I reckon, what's the time? We're going to have to shoot to training soon.
Yeah,
but before we go,
Yep.
I reckon, what do you reckon your two boys' best stories from your time with the Mariners are?
Could be road trips.
Yeah.
Could be home games.
Just
could
something
be
that you
like
always
a Wharf,
remember.
Could be a Tour de Bico moment. It could be anything. Some.
I'm not sure if it's my standout moment, but one of my
You've got a lot.
favorite moments is, as funny as this sounds, when we played the Cup 7 Cup in 2022, and we started off having Pete and Swifty and all these guns, and then by the 5th game, we were depleted. Everyone had COVID, and it was literally me, Clancy, and the kids. Me, Clancy, Luca, and the kids.
The
Flinny was in
Rezzies.
goals. Yeah, with the Rezzies.
It was game 5 of the Cap 7
yeah.
Cup, and it was 2-2, and it was a final game.
Yeah.
For we needed to win it for some reason for the National League. Yeah, it's
That
a
was
final
one of the
game.
best games of water polo I've ever
That
watched.
was,
I had so much fun.
I didn't play that much, but that was
Yeah.
my Mariners debut. Was that game?
You and Ben Collis.
Yeah, Ben
And so you
Collis.
had
Debut
Dart
as well.
play
Pat
as well.
Dart's debut.
Paddy played as well,
Yeah.
and
Menno was in there.
Harry was playing. Menno was playing.
yeah, Flinny was in the
Flynn
goals, and then it was pretty much me, Clancy, Luca, and that was it.
Yeah, and we
Mitch
had Cody.
and Mitch Ains, and Cody came back after not
just-
playing,
Yeah, he just hopped in.
and just to help out. And
Clancy was playing.
that was
I think.
that made me feel like how I did when I was a kid playing water polo, just no cares, so involved, because I really was never like that a lot when I think I overthought
And-
it too much.
Pete Tomasevic got red carded in the second quarter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
like everything was against us.
Yeah, and I just sort of it had that real us against them, we're gonna show them, we're gonna give it.
Yeah,
and
let's
you
go.
Don't really give a. I remember not giving a shit what anyone was saying about them.
Just leave it.
It's just a photo of me and Tom. Don't stress, man.
Hey, I'm in both of these, mate.
And yeah, we were going hammer and tong, and I remember I'm really good mates with Andy Ford, and even he said afterwards, oh, you guys were pretty fired up, it was a bit off. I was like, man, look, we've got a bunch of 18-year-olds, we've got to play for
What do you
something.
think?
So yeah, so no, that was a pretty, and we went into Ben Collis' house and had a few celebratory sodas, had a few celebratory
But,
single
Coke
fins.
Zeros.
Pretty sure.
Cheers
And
to
like
sponsors.
it was Ben Cole's debut as well, and he scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
One of them was
Saved
to
the
equalise.
scored the game winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
recent memory, that was pretty good. I
C.
Yeah,
Smith
that was
put
good.
down. I think Cody put it down to make it 2 goals up, and then we won. And because Pete got red carded, and he said he like walked around, he was watching in his car from behind the fence like the whole game.
That was
then-
cool. That was a
yeah.
fun moment.
That was like, this is what it's about. And then went back to Ben's, and I remember I was still there at like 2 or 3 a.m. Just me, Elijah, and Pete lying on the couch, just getting dad chats.
Yeah, having life lessons.
I learned more in that 2 hours than I've learned at school from Pete. He got us home as well.
He was great for a good dad chat, old Pete.
A good life story.
Good night out.
Gunny.
Yeah, you've put me on the spot a little bit. I think like if my memory all melds into one with all the National League seasons, but I think the one that sticks out to me was, and I'll let you tell the story, Davis. Is I think I alluded to. No, it wasn't the one that I alluded to before. It's a different Davis story. It was when you did a chip and dip on Andrew Ford.
Oh,
You've swum down.
don't bring this up.
This wasn't,
I'll let you tell the story.
that wasn't National League. That was A grade.
Yeah, that was an
Oh,
A grade
that's a
game.
shame.
It was at
Again-
Beatty
Well,
tell the
Park,
story
mate.
anyway. Tell the story.
Anyways, it was an A grade game. I don't know. And I
Beatty
think I was
Park.
playing
I
with-
remember it like it was yesterday.
No, it was Bicton.
It was
Bic-
Beatty
I thought it was
Park,
Bicton.
dude.
No, it's Bicton, man. The one I remember was at Bicton.
Oh,
And
he's
I
had
was
a
playing with
couple of
Ali.
them.
I was playing with, I think it was Ali and Cody in they were the young 17. It was me and Drew and those guys. And we were getting beaten pretty comprehensively because I think that's when Torps were won or had just won or something like that. And we were getting beaten. And I had Luke Quinn living the goals, and I stole the ball off George or Andy.
You
One of the
chip and
two.
dipped Andy.
Yeah, so I stole the ball off George, and then Andy came over chip and dip, and I went and then did a push shot or something on Luke Quivlin, donated it. And then I remember
Tucko time.
I remember your dad comes up to me afterwards, and Peter was the ball boy for the day. And he tells me that Peter's run up afterward and talked to me and said, "Did you see what Dave did?" Yeah, that was pretty good.
Pete was
Peter
your
used to be,
prodigy back in those
the
days.
Padawan.
Yeah.
Tell me
yeah.
you got out the pool and walked back to the bench and
probably.
like this after. It's
Probably.
Tucky
I think
time,
the score was
baby.
like 16-2 or something like that, so it didn't really have much of an impact on the game. But yeah, that was
Still take those.
I always loved. Funnily enough, it's weird what motivates you. I always loved playing with the young guys. Like I remember on the Sunday afternoon trainings with Tom, and he'd sit with his rosé and when I was a bit old, I always went and helped the young kids because it helped. Like maybe it's my personality, I don't know, but I really enjoyed helping the young kids and learn. Even though we got belted by 15 goals or whatever, like it was actually quite like meaningful. I quite enjoyed that. It was really cool.
Yeah, and yeah, obviously that was with the juniors, but even when me and Harry, a little bit like 18, 19, and you were there, we really appreciated it. It was like really good coming up and having you there.
Oh, thanks, man.
To
I
get us
appreciate
through.
it.
And I think that was a great episode. Loved it. So,
Oh,
you
thanks
know,
for having us.
episode 2 in the
Thanks for
books
having
with
us.
Tucko, Davis Verboon, and Dr. Gunny. Thanks for listening.
G.
2025, we're coming back hot. Wharfie Pod's back, baby.
Up the wharfs.
Wharfie Pod to the moon.